Hi, I'm Meka.
I'm Nataraja.
And we are Ascended Heart Navigators. And we're here talking today about the Ascension Process.
Ascension.
Nataraja, what is Ascension?
What is Ascension? So we're in it. Girl, yes. We're in the middle of it. Meka, we are, I think a lot of people, there's a lot of people that don't know, or they feel something's happening, but they're feeling it in a different way. And then there's other people who are feeling it, but they think that it's something that's coming and not something that we're already in. And we've been in this process for a while.
Yeah, totally. The evidence has been all around us.
Mm-hmm.
And we either get intuitive hits of knowing that process is all around us, or we get really direct, clear messages. Whether they show up in art, like the fifth dimension talking about the age of Aquarius beginning, whether we just have messages coming in from the divine. We have some great channelers and mediums in our society.
There's a lot more there's a lot of people that are getting more and more messages. And maybe it's because I'm opening to it.
I was thinking the same thing because we're on this journey together as Ascended Heart Navigators.
Correct.
And so we're sharing the space and we're very intentionally doing the work. So maybe the messages are showing up more and they were there all along. Like Dolores Cannon has been talking about this for ages.
Right.
But I think that there's more. I think that, all these time periods where there were messages coming in, the movements of the 60s and 70s, the 1999, everybody's afraid of the millennial shift, or 2012 with the end of the Aztec calendar. But this is, everyone's saying...
The Mayan calendar.
Mayan.
Right.
The Mayan calendar. I love it when she actually brings in real facts to help correct me. I'm really intuitive, but sometimes I get my things wrong. But 2020, they're really talking about this incredible alignment of stars and this process that we're all going through, this shift. As you might have heard, I've even had an album called The Shift, and I've been tracking this process, and even tracking this process and this experience over the past 10 plus years, or our whole lives, or many lifetimes. Right now, the acceleration is incredible, and the messages that are coming through are not only extremely positive and uplifting, they're present.
Right.
It's happening now. Everything's talking about it being now and that everything is good. It's all okay.
Right.
So what is this ascension process that we've all been experiencing? Even though it's slower and it goes speeding up and speeding up and speeding up. What does that look like? What does that mean?
It's the awakening. It's the awakening process. And it kind of is gone in these waves of things that are changing within humanity, and this awakening. And the awakening is, I know it's going to sound really super odd to say this, but
I love odd.
But the awakening is awakening into remembering. And we have been asleep as humans.
Totally.
Most of our DNA has been turned off. We were originally higher level beings. Humanity had to go through I'm not going to go into details from what I understand, but humanity had to drop levels of frequency to be in this dense dimension that we are living in. And there's things that happened within the galactic world. We are not alone. We have been on this. There has been many ancient civilizations here on this planet. There have been many visitors on this planet from other planets that have been doing work with humans on humans. And we're not going to go into a lot of the detail of the.
There's ancient aliens for that stuff.
Right. Right. And so what this is we're awakening into a remembering of who we actually are as higher level beings and higher level potential beings. And so what's going on is that if you can imagine this is a stage, right?
Ooh, I like that.
Right? and that moment when you're all the lights, just and all the production lights come on, and you're just like, what the heck is this? I did not know this was so freaking dope.
Wow.
That's kind of like what's happening is like all the lights, and throughout time, more and more lights are being turned on. And then we see what a production Earth is.
Oh, that's a really cool way to put that,
Right.
Nataraja.
Right. Earth is a production. It's a
Dun,
grand.
dun, 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 dun,
And
dun,
we all
dun,
have
dun,
our
dun,
roles
dun.
to play.
Cool. And we choose it. I want to stop there for
Right.
just one little note. That means that every single life,
Mm-hmm.
however we judge it or view it, is worthy and treasured, and even experiences are viewed as negative or bad, even if, like, I actually had a shaman teacher say this. Even the drug addict on the street is having their perfect human experience. That doesn't mean don't help people when you're called and aligned, but also honor that everybody's having an experience that they're called in to themselves through their soul purpose in order to experience and learn something. So not that we don't need to fix some social problems, and we can naturally and work towards that, but also honoring that everything is great at this time, and from that okay space, then operate from improvements onto the life condition of all humanity from there. So kind of cool lesson.
And that is something that we're going to be talking about in another talk later on in the week. That concept is very triggering for people.
Yes.
When like, how can you say that bad things happen? Mecca and I personally, we've had horrible things happen to us in our lives.
Totally.
But we're not going to talk about that right now.
We're going to give you a little drop of hint for later.
Yep. But we're talking about ascension. And what it is humans have been awakening. And so the 2012 was a big one. In the 80s was a big push. In the 90s again was another push. And our galactic helpers have had to speed this process up, because if the intervention is not happening from them, the helpers, and also us who are here on Earth I'm not going to use the word intervene, but we are the little lights. We are part of the production lights that are being turned on. And this awakening is like the turning on of all these production lights, who we've come in this planet to become. We are these production lights. And we get to choose if we're going to turn our lights on and remember who we are as higher level light beings. And we get to choose what timeline, and what I mean timeline is the potential of ourselves. And we can, if you look at a horizon of all these different paths, and these are all different potential versions of yourself, and all different potential paths, and we get to choose what potential version of us we are. And this is part of the ascension and this awakening, is this deeper understanding that we are creating this not only by our choices, but just by who we are and who we choose to be. And the ascension is the remembering who we are, that we are so far more connected, not only to each other, but we're connected in a cellular DNA way, and we're connected in a consciousness. And the consciousness is not only a consciousness of humanity, we're connected to a field. And the field is the energy field that is emitted from animals, it's emitted from the plant life, it's emitted from Earth, it's emitted to our galactic brothers and sisters. And this field connects all of us. And it's this awareness that we are deeply entwined and connected, and remembering who we are as being so woven together that when we make choices in our life, as far as like whatever path we choose, we know deeply that our wovenness is interwoven with everything. And that is the remembering of humanity, of what we once were before, and we have forgotten.
And this is showing up in art and science fiction, but it's also showing up in science.
Right.
If you look at any of the current quantum physicists talking, I saw a conversation that Mind Valley put on with Nassim, who's a current quantum physicist, from Italy, who is talking about this oneness. And Neil deGrasse Tyson is an incredible scientist and spiritualist because he's like, it proves the oneness through really, we have the science, we have the tools to measure, but we also have the quantum science to like back this up, which is cool, yo. So it's not mutually exclusive to have spirituality and science. It's very much a very supportive relationship between the two.
Right.
So if you do want to find out like what's going on a physics level of why we are connected to everything else in the universe, everything, something that affects us affects molecules, billions of light years away. Like they have evidence of this. I don't know how, but they do.
Right. And recently, Mecca, they come up in the news feed, and I think that was like a week ago.
Okay.
That the scientists, I'm going to use the word quote, the scientists, in mainstream news, even there was an article that was written about, they now understand that the mind is not in the brain, that the mind actually is an energy field outside of us. And it was a very interesting article, that this is something that they just recently released, and saying that what actually is happening is that there is a field outside of us, which is the mind. And I know, boom. And I recently revisited a talk by some of my favorites, Greg Braden, Bruce Lipton, and Joe Dispenza. They're the three amigos. Look them up. And they had
great brains.
Or
minds that's out here.
They're all scientists. They all have their own areas of science that they are working in. One is a geneticist. The other one is a neuroscientist, and Greg Braden is a biologist, I think it is. I can't remember exactly what type of biology, but he's an amazing resource also. So check him out. Check all of three of those guys out. But anyway, they had this conversation about, I'm going to make this real quick because we're talking about Ascension. But they had this conversation about this, that there is a field that's outside of us, which is consciousness. And our thoughts are connected to consciousness. Our emotions are connected to consciousness, and the consciousness connects everything. And that's what the ascension is us awakening and going through this process in which our bodies are changing, our frequency is changing, our understanding of our connectedness is changing, and being able to move through time and space is not going to be the same as we move forward through this awakening process. We are able to move forward in a thought. We are able to move to different places in time and space. The 3D is not going to be this like thing of matter that we can't get through because of matter, and our perceptions of matter is going to greatly change. The awakening is something that we share. We talked about recently also, was our connection to other beings of light is going to happen more frequently. We are going to understand that we get to choose in a moment what our realities are, and understanding deeply that we get to create. We can say, I choose this, and boom, we are there in that reality. We've made the statement that this is going to be our belief.
We create
from within. We understand deeply that the world, the universe, is us, and we are the world. We're all connected, and we're creating from a different.
And we're created collectively,
right,
and individually. So our individual life experiences through our creation, and the creation that we allow from others as we choose, and what we choose and create affects others who allow our, we're all creating at the same time.
And then on Friday, we're going to have a talk with another amazing soul who's going to be talking about the Ascension Process. So check us back on Friday, and we will be with Michelle Orwick, and we're going to be
MagicalMichelle.com.
And we are going to be talking more about the Ascension Process because it's happening, and it's going to speed up on December 21st.
Yes.
So, Ascended Heart Navigators, we love you. Talk to you soon.